my wonderful, wonderful students, Pam Bourke. Hi, Pam.
Hello, Mel.
And cheers.
And cheers, I know.
Doink.
Finished a lesson on Zoom in the middle of a pandemic.
How was it for you, Pam? Was it as good for you as it was for me?
I had great fun. It was a lot of fun. And even though I wouldn't say it was a very polished performance, it was still fun. Like, you know, I was learning things and I felt very comfortable.
But
in my home and lazy.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not a performance. It's your singing lesson.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
A safe space to, you know, to make mistakes or
try.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Just on the note of online lessons, because it's all such a new world for a lot of us. I always had the option to do online lessons, but I didn't really have any students coming online. It was always, you know, just in the studio.
Okay.
Yeah, whereas, you know, I know a lot of other teachers who have exclusively taught online. So it's new territory for me as much as it is for everybody else. Yeah. So it took me a little while to get used to, but how was it for you as a student?
Seamless.
It
was great. Seamless, yeah. I don't know whether that's because you know, I'd been having lessons, face-to-face lessons with you for a while, so we knew each other, and you know, there was not any awkwardness in it. I don't know,
no.
but technically, I mean, I think we had a couple of, you know, little technical glitches at first, like coming in. You know, we were not quite in sync a couple of times, but
that's it. Yeah.
Nothing that really kind of made me think, oh, I don't want to do this again. I just thought, oh, well, we'll work that out.
Same. That's what I thought too. Because I'm prone to the dramatic, you know, if something doesn't work the first time, normally I'm in a heap going, that's it, I have to give up, you know, but I was actually like, oh, this, I can actually see a lot of potential in this, and I can see that, you know, there will be a lot of benefits long term. And one of them was actually highlighted by a singing teacher here in Brisbane who does a lot of online teaching. She mentioned in a professional development class that was over Zoom through ANATS, she said that she found that with her online students, they actually they developed quicker because it's a necessity just to quickly learn what it, you know, what am I trying to say? Just developing that sensory awareness and also body mapping, and I suppose the teacher asking a lot of questions, you know, of, you know, how does that feel? I mean, normally that happens in a studio anyway, but you know, where is the effort level? So quickly students have to adapt to this self-reliance, you know, on knowing how things are meant to feel, that kind of thing. So she actually found students got quicker. Yeah, they learnt things quicker.
Because the teacher is not, but you have to make things more explicit. They're not implicit.
I think so. There's a bit of that too.
Yeah,
ask a lot of questions. Yeah.
Whereas you'd observe and watch in a studio, you can't quite do that. So you've actually got to ask the student, and the student then has to become aware of what's going on.
Yeah,
how do I answer the question? Oh, very interesting.
I find that interesting.
Yeah.
And so, do you want to tell everybody how long you've been singing for, and just give a little, you know, or not even a little. You can go for as long as you like. Just, you know, what has your singing journey been like? What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, I've got there's a little cartoon by Michael Lunick, which I use because I teach online at the university as well. And I put this little cartoon up about you know, it's the journey to learning how to do things. And he's got this little figure that, you know, runs their way up the mountain thinking, oh, I've got to the top, I've got there. And then looks out, and what he sees in front of him is all these other mountains he's still got to climb. So I think my singing journey's been a bit like that, really. So yeah, when did I start singing? Oh, look, really young. Like I think maybe 4, 5, like very
Wow, that's a very young age to start singing lessons.
well. No, I didn't start lessons then, but I
Oh,
started.
you
I was
started.
definitely singing then. And my mother was a singer. And she studied. She sang in bands in the war in Brisbane. With American bands actually, and then she went and studied at the Conservatorium of Music in Sydney.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, when she was in her early 20s, late teens, early 20s. So I don't know what the moment was when she realised that I I liked singing and I had some ability to sing, but it was definitely when I was quite young. So it was primary school, early primary school. Um, and I, I remember being asked to sing for people who came over, like for family and friends and people who visited. Put Pam up there and she'll sing the latest whatever.
Hmm.
And Mum used to take me to all the musicals and I loved things like the film like Oliver and Sound of Music. That was my era when I was growing up, and so I used to prance around the house. I'd dress up in gear and I'd prance around the house and I'd sing songs from Oliver. And yeah,
Oh,
we used
that's
to
so
watch Tom
beautiful.
Jones on Sunday nights. And
Did he have his
uh,
own regular show on a Sunday night?
he
Tom
had a
Jones.
Sunday night show and we would not miss Tom Jones on a
Oh,
Sunday.
wow.
So yeah, there was just a lot of music, and I think pop music. I think like the first band I really fell in love with was the Monkees, and I used to sing their songs a lot. So
What
yeah,
was
I
your
was
favorite?
singing.
What was your favorite Monkees tune?
Oh, well, yes. So uh, I used to like. I was absolutely in love with Davy Jones when I was about 11,
I
10 or
think
11.
most women were young then. He
Yes,
was the
and
better looking one.
he was. But they had two songs. The one that he sang that I really loved was that I wanna be free, like the bluebirds flying by me. Do you know that one?
I don't know
Going
that. That sounds
out
beautiful.
on the blue sea. Yeah. So I used to love that one. But the other one that their really famous hit song, what was it? And I still love it whenever I hear it on the radio, I kind of accidentally I just go for it. Anyway, it's gone, but
It'll
it'll
come
come
back.
back
It'll come back later, and you can
anyway. So
belt it
yeah,
out.
so that was kind of and then I had a bad experience actually singing when I was young, primary, because my mother took me to a talent show, and it was like a
Oh,
television, like it was like a kind of an audition.
oh no.
And I was absolutely terrified. I was
Mm.
beside myself with terror. And when I got up there, I just couldn't open my mouth. I basically I
Oh,
was a
God bless
total
you.
flop and failure. And it took me a while to recover from that. I felt this excruciating shame. It was a really awful experience, actually. Yeah, very early. So that would have
The
been
reason why I went, oh no, is because I am so against those talent shows.
right. Okay.
People just get so exploited, and young people as well. I
Yeah,
really, yeah, I really felt for you when you said
yeah.
that,
And
especially as a
I think
young person as well, and not being prepared
I know.
mentally for.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes when I have to perform, I think sometimes, depending on the context, I go back to that little girl who was just absolutely frozen
Mm,
in the lights. Yeah. So that was primary. And then secondary school, I went to State High, Brisbane State High, and they used to have an operetta I don't know if it was every year or every second year. It was probably every second year. And so in grade 8, I auditioned and got into the operetta, and it was Oliver. So I got to be a knife grinder in Oliver. So I
Oh,
got.
I thought you, for some reason, I was prepared to hear that you said, and I got to be Oliver.
No, no, no. No, I got to be a knife grinder, and I had this
Oh,
grey, very, very unattractive, dull dress, and I had to sing knives, knives to grind, any knives to grind. That was my big moment in.
I can't believe you can still remember that.
Oh, it's imprinted on my brain. So we did Oliver, and then in 2 years' time we did Oh What a Lovely War, and I got a solo. They gave me a solo in that, and I was in grade 10 by that stage. And then in my final year in grade 12, we did The Sound of Music, and they cast me as the Mother Superior, which was actually, I think, the hardest song in the whole show.
I was going to say that's a really
Climb every
challenging
mountain.
for a young person of, how old were you? 17, 16?
I was,
17?
yeah, 16 or 17.
Yeah.
It was a
Wow.
very bloody tough. And I'm a soprano. I guess you'll probably tell me technically what I am, but
Yeah,
it was
your voice definitely is
it was a
soprano.
bloody high note anyway, and it was terrifying. And again, I was in this bloody, black and white,
The habit.
I was in the habit. I ended up being a nun. Anyway, it was a little bit bruising to my ego, but they were great, And then I was, at the same time, I was singing in the church that I was involved with, so lots and lots of singing going on all the time for that
So
period.
when did you stop singing and why? What happened?
Well, I took lessons as well all through high
Mm.
school, so I took lessons for about 5 years. And then when did I stop singing? I think I was still singing. I think I stopped singing when I stopped going, when I dropped out of the church.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped singing then.
How old
And
were you when that happened?
I about 21.
Mm.
Yeah. And then
And
I
then how long
didn't
did it
sing
take for you
for a
to,
long time.
yeah, when did you start again? When did you start back up again?
Well, I used to sing just around the house,
Yeah.
Actually, no, it was probably a bit later than that because, yeah, I was probably still singing into my early 20s, actually, with a group in West End. Um, but yeah, it was probably around the age of 20, 21, 22. And then I didn't get back into it until I went to New Zealand in 2005.
Mm.
So that's 15 years ago. So I was 45. So from 21 to 45, I didn't sing. At least I
Wow.
didn't sing in
You
public.
in public. What, so
Yeah, close to 25 years.
was there an experience that happened for you to stop completely, or is it just that your career happened, family?
It's interesting. Look, I think it was a combination of things. I think it was, yes, my career took over, and a lot of my creativity got, somehow directed into that. So I think that was, and honestly, when I went to university, because I did social work, I had thought briefly, maybe I could go to the con, maybe I could do something different. And I had a sense of making a choice, that it was a bit of a crossroads. Will I pursue music, or will I go to university and study social work? And I didn't ever think I could do both. So I made this choice. Yeah.
And can I just add to, you do have the voice and the musicality to have easily have gone to the con.
Oh,
I just
well,
wanted to add
thank
that.
you. That's not how I felt at the time, of course.
I know we
And
never
also
do.
back then, you had to look the part.
Oh wow! To get into the con.
No, but to be successful as a singer, the
Oh
message I
right.
got through
Okay.
high school was, I'm
Mm.
5 foot tall, and
I got that
uh,
message through.
yeah,
That
it was the
message as
beautiful ones that got the parts.
yeah,
Really,
yeah.
it was
I
the ones
was
that were
always
kind of typically
yeah.
whatever. And
That's
I
it.
just thought, I'm never going to be that. Here I am, 21. I'm still 5 foot tall. There's not much chance I'm going to get any bigger. So,
Yeah, well, that's it.
I'm
I
never
got
going to
that
be like
message as well, and things
that.
changed in I think the late 2000s. I think we
Wow.
started seeing singers like is it Beth Mode?
Adele and
Oh, and Adele, and yeah, so yeah, it wasn't really until the late 2000s that we
very
saw
sad.
some diversity, and
I know.
also diversity in age as well. It wasn't just the 17-year-olds who were
Yeah,
super popular.
yeah.
We saw some older artists.
Be nice, isn't it? Yeah. I
It's
mean, it's
really
great.
bloody
It's a
nice.
really good thing. It's a really
Mm.
good thing. So I think there was all that sort of sexism and gender stuff happening, all the, body shaming and all of that. Um, and maybe, a lack of confidence or whatever. So I just thought, well, I'll probably never make it as a singer as a career. So I need a career, I need something where I can support myself and so I went to social work, and look, I was so lucky because the path that I chose in social work has just been like a hand in a glove for me. So that was a really great choice, but it's just a shame that I had to stop singing, or that I felt I had to stop singing. Yeah, at the same time. Hmm.
And when you started back up again,
Hmm.
what was the revelation? Was it just an opportunity that came about, or was it a decision that, oh no,
Yeah.
actually I can incorporate this into my life?
Well, it was interesting because I know I've never thought about this or talked about this before, so this is new for me. Um, so we went to New Zealand, and I'd been in a pretty big job for 11 years back here in Australia. I'd had a lot of responsibility, and I'd been raising, we'd been raising our daughter, and so life was incredibly busy. I studied, busy life, enjoying it, but busy. I went to New Zealand, and it was just like, we were renting. We didn't have any house maintenance. We hardly knew anybody. We had time, you know. And the job I was doing wasn't as complex or difficult as the one I'd had. So it was a bit like, well, what am I going to, it felt like a new start. What am I going to do with myself? And a friend of mine said to me, oh, why don't you, she was reading Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. And she said to me,
That
why
book.
don't you have a look at this? Like, because maybe there's something in there that you can develop. And so I read The Artist's Way, and I thought, oh, maybe I could go back and have singing lessons again. I've got time, and why not? So I asked around, and someone suggested that I go and take singing lessons with this lovely woman in New Zealand who was a jazz singer.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
she lived just up the road. She's visually impaired, Caitlin, and she used to perform every Sunday afternoon with her band just down the street at this fantastic pub. So I started going to her for lessons. And in the first lessons, she said to me, I want you to buy this book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. So I just thought, I think the planets are lining up here. I think this is the journey I need to go on. Yeah.
And was it also because your past classical lessons. You were telling me previously that you're singing songs, you know, like Karamia Ben and, you know, those stock standard entry level arias for young students. Was it also a revelation doing a completely different genre?
Yeah, it was
Was that
fantastic.
a
It was fantastic. And I think, you know, Mark had always, my partner Mark, he used to listen to jazz track every Saturday and Sunday afternoon, you know, 5 o'clock on went jazz track for 2 hours. And so, you know, and my mother was, sang a lot of jazz. So I grew up with jazz, and then I heard a lot of it, you know. So when Caitlin said, you know, let's sing jazz, um, I mean, we did some other stuff as well, but it was terrific. You know, it was really, I felt like I jumped into the stream, and I was in a great stream,
mm.
and it just felt like it suited me. Yeah.
And so when you came back to Australia, you continued down the jazz path?
No, I came back to Australia. Well, I got some lessons for a while when I came back, but it was a bit clunky. I didn't have a piano at that stage. You know, I bought myself a little keyboard, but I'm not that competent on the piano. Um, and it was just hard. It was just hard to do them. So that was 2007. And then what happened? And again, it's these serendipitous moments, if that's the right word. But
Definitely.
I'm in a little history group in West End, and we've done a few local history walks, produced some booklets, etc. And on one of them, we decided to rewrite. We used to do these launches of the history books at Avid Reader, and we rewrote the words to a couple of songs, and I performed them with Phil Vanderzeel, who you know. So anyway, we decided on one of the walks. Phil said to me, let's sing that song, you know. So here we are standing on the street corner singing this song. I'm thinking, I must be mad, you know, doing this. And there was a guy there, Cliff Draper, who was a music teacher, but he also played saxophone and guitar and flute. And he heard me singing, and he said, oh, I think you should come round. Let's just have a jam. I think you should come round. So we were walking up Bristol Street. I said, yeah, sure, I'll come round. Anyway, so Cliff, with huge generosity, I have to say, because I hadn't performed for a really long time, he said, look, I think you're terrific. Let's learn a couple of songs, and then we'll go and perform them at a local cafe in West End. So that's where my performing life started again. And that was, yeah. And then at some point, I think I'd been doing that for a year or two, and I thought, I think I'll go and get singing lessons again, you know, because I'd really like to get better at this. You know, people were generous and enjoying it, but I thought, I think I could do this better. So that's when I found you. And I think Phil suggested I come to you, Phil Vanderzeel.
Yeah, Phil was getting some lessons there for a little bit.
So here I am, and I'm 60, you know, and I'm still learning and singing and performing.
It's wonderful, and it just goes to show too, and because I was always hung up over the whole age thing. Oh no, I've passed 25. You know, that kind of thing. And it's absolute bloody bullshit, isn't it? You can do anything at any age.
Yeah. I think it is hard. I think, to be fair, and you please contradict me, but I have a sense that at this age, I have to, yeah. When I was younger, I think things came easier. Whereas now I think I have to really be very conscious. very, very technically conscious. Yeah.
I'm not going to. I'm
I
not
was
going to
just lazy,
contradict
not
you.
very technically conscious
Mm.
when I was younger. So,
You know what? I think we all experience things so differently, you know,
right.
and uh, I, I absolutely agree with you. I think, you know, we do pick things up a lot quicker, and we kind of had to when we were kids. You know, we went to these expensive lessons. This is how I think I, you know, explain it to myself. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't an easy thing for my parents to pay for my speech and drama, my singing, my.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think there was an element of, well, I just have to do this and I have to, you know, have to nail it kind of thing. There's a bit of that, but then that could be different, you know, for another person. But I actually find, personally, I feel like I've just come into my brain. Does that make
Wow.
sense?
Okay.
Well, it took me a long time to get my license. I was 27, and now
Right.
I do fancy myself as quite a good driver. But
Yes.
previous to that, I just didn't really have the coordination, or I don't know what it was. And the same thing now too with because I'm teaching myself, you know, obviously through guidance of online teachers and past teachers and piano. I'm reteaching myself how to play jazz piano, and
Fantastic.
things that I just wouldn't have thought that I could do
Yeah.
previously, I'm starting to do. So I
Yeah.
don't know. The brain is a funny thing.
I think it's wonderful, you know, and I, part of me thinks that I feel sad for the lost time in some ways, you know, that I could have been singing for decades, really. But on the other hand, I was doing other things that were really interesting and valuable and creative as well, you know.
Do you want to share what you did, because I find your whole career absolutely, and you know, your current career absolutely bloody fascinating. You travel the world, and
Yeah, well, that was a surprise. But basically, I did social work, and there were various streams in social work when I did it. And of course, there was counselling, but there was also this stream called community development, which is actually, you know, how do you work with people to support them to connect with others and to actually try and create solutions to their own problems and issues in the community. So how do you build community strengths and robustness and resilience? So I was always really interested in that. So that's really what I did. And I worked in neighbourhood centres for a few years after I graduated from social work at UQ. And then I ended up in local government. So I ended up managing all the community development programs for Brisbane City Council, which is the biggest local government in Australia. And I did that for 11 years, and we had a really, it was amazing. We just had a great time, really. We put our fingers in all these pies, and we were given a lot of latitude to do really creative and interesting things. And so we got on and did it. And I had a lot of, I had a lot of staff at that time. And then when I went to New Zealand, I did a similar job in Auckland City. And when I came back to Australia, I thought, oh, I don't really, you know, I've worked in government, I've worked in community organisations. Maybe I'll work for myself. And then I was asked if I would, someone who at the University of Queensland knew that I was around. And he said, oh, do you want to design and teach a course, online course on community relations for the mining sector? And I went, well, I don't know anything about mining and I don't know anything about online teaching, but sure, I'll have a go. So it was absolutely terrifying. That was 2007. And as a result of that work, I reconnected with another colleague of mine who taught me at the university. And he said to me, I said to him, oh, I've agreed to do this thing. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I've heard you've got some resources. And he said, yeah, here's some manuals that I've developed. And he said, come to Peru with me. I'm about to do some training in Peru.
Wow.
That was in 2007. So I went, come to Peru. So off I went. So I've basically went around the world, you know, with him, mostly in the Americas, for the next 2 to 3 years,
Mm,
learning how to train.
and
And
you've done a lot of
so,
work in Chile as well. That's
yeah,
been
yeah. So as a result of that, he's retired, and as a result of that, I've picked up that work. So I now I teach at a university in Chile. I teach that material. And then, yeah, I've taught in several, I like trained people in several countries in Latin America, Canada, and the US, Papua New Guinea, different parts of Australia. So, yeah, I've ended up having an international career at this end of my career, which is, and training, which was not something I'd ever considered, but it's been really fascinating.
I wholeheartedly agree, and I think as a performer, I feel as though all of this experience would make your performances even richer, you know, through that life experience. I would seriously come to a one woman show of yours and listen to your story and listen to you sing because you're
Oh,
so
well, I have to,
fascinating, very
yeah.
interesting.
Well, I have done some songwriting as well. I did that in New Zealand, and I haven't had much. I haven't done much with that, but it is something that appeals to me. And but yeah, I do think um, you know, with all the sort of uh, I don't know, the ups and downs of life, I think do give you, and the experiences that you've had, and I've learnt so much from working with people in other cultures. It's really
Mm,
been quite amazing for me. Like I can't believe I've had that opportunity really to go into, you know, really remote parts of the world and meet people who have very, very different reality from mine. It's been hugely humbling at this stage of my life. Really,
mm,
I've
mm,
really I feel very, very privileged, actually.
mm.
And I'm learning Spanish on Duolingo. So
How are you going with it?
not too bad, not too bad. I need to find someone uh, who will have conversation with me, you know, because I'm very low level, you know.
Maybe
But
when we you know put this out on the blog or on YouTube,
some
you might
some
get some
person
people
will take
contacting
pity
you.
on me. That's right,
Pam,
exactly. But
just
yeah,
an observation: when you sing, you I can feel that you're feeling everything, every single word, every single melody. I can see it on your face and your body, and it's so palpable. What is that? Is that a culmination of life experiences that you're putting behind each lyric? Are you connecting a life story to some of these jazz standards, or is you just really feeling the music?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think, you know, there's a story in the lyrics. So, you know, I loved English at school, and I loved writing. I love creative writing, and I love reading. I'm still a really big reader. So I love a good story, you know,
Mm,
I love a
mm,
good story. So I think in songs where I can really relate to the lyrics, yeah, I think I'm able to get inside the song. And then sometimes I even forget to be scared, really, because I'm
mm.
inside that
Interesting.
song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and look, and other times it's just, I mean, the music's so amazing,
Mm,
really, that it takes you away. There's something about, if I'm feeling really crap,
mm,
there is something about putting on some music and singing that really changes the way I'm feeling about things. And yeah, it's a real gear shift, I think. So I don't know, maybe it is that ability that I think I have to work at it. I'm not saying it just happens, but that ability to put other stuff aside and really be present in the song, in the moment. And I think what I'd like to get better at is, in some ways, almost forgetting there's an audience. I know you've got to communicate with them, but also sometimes that can be really off-putting, that you think you're performing rather than, you know, you're inside the song. And I know you've said that to me about interpreting, you know. Go on.
Well, I was going to say maybe being able to switch between both worlds while you're on stage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you're still letting the audience in.
Yes, that's right. That's right. You're not off in your own world, sort of with your eyes shut, dancing around.
That's it.
Yeah, that's right. So there is something about, and I've been thinking, I mean, I've practiced this in the work the things I teach as well. But there is something about how can you be really present in the moment and put other things to one side, you know, hold them lightly and be really present in the music and the song. I think that's something that I'm still exploring.
And still be able to be in that present moment while the little girl who was shell-shocked after being put through that horrific experience of the audition, the TV audition, she can still coexist. She can still be there.
Yes.
You're not pushing her away while you're in that space.
That's right. Exactly. But she doesn't come in and take over the experience. Yeah. So yeah, it's quite there's a lot to it, really. There's a lot more, isn't there, than just the technical ability to perform. There is also a, if you like the word, spiritual dimension to it.
Oh, absolutely.
If that, I mean, spiritual in a very broad sense, I think, of being in touch.
Sorry to interrupt. What advice would you give somebody who does suffer from crippling anxiety, would love to sing, would love to be able to come to a lesson even, would love to be able to even just belt out a tune in their own home, but perhaps too scared? What would you say to that person?
Well, I guess the first thing is life is short, you know, and having hit 60 last year, I'm really aware of that. Life is short. So if it's something you'd really like to do, if it's your secret passion, just do it. Life is really short, you know, and it's too short to spend tied up in fear, you know. It's too short to waste in fear of, you know, making mistakes or how you might seem or people might think you're stupid, or just do, you know, have a go, you know, have a go. It won't be perfect. It never is perfect.
It never is. And you also never, like, you always think, oh, you know, a professional wouldn't ever feel like that. You never get to a point where you go, oh, this is it. I've mastered the art of singing bravely. You still are getting to a point. It doesn't matter what stage you're on. You might get comfortable on one stage and you'll get to another and, you know, want to shit yourself. So it's
absolutely. Have a go. That would be have a go, and don't waste your life in fear, really. Would be the thing. And probably the only other thing, it's amazing how you can improve.
I know. I'm always amazed.
Amazing how you can improve if you just work at it, you know, and practice and enjoy it. So you might think you're crap, but you can actually get a lot better through just working at it. Yeah. So maybe that's the only thing, you know.
Well, I think that if someone listened to that, I was getting goosebumps when you were talking. It's so true. Everything that you said.
Mm.
Well,
And it really helps to have some help. So get some help.
yeah,
That would be another thing. Get some help, you know?
that's it.
Find someone who'll play with
There,
you. Get some
there
lessons.
are one thing in Brisbane, particularly Brisbane residents, are very, very lucky to have a lot of vocal pedagogy trained teachers.
Wow,
Because we
okay.
have basically, I think it could be different now, but a couple of years ago, it was the only course in the world where you could do a master's in vocal science and vocal pedagogy. There are some really brilliant teachers here in Brisbane. Here in West End too, there's a great teacher called Emma Wilson. Who studied with Ingo Titzer, who's he's the king of vocal science. So there's some really brilliant people. So yeah, definitely seek the help. And there are also, like you said, people who are willing to jam. If you put a call out on Facebook, there's always the whole 6 degrees of separation. There's always someone who will know somebody.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? And
yeah, that's it.
I mean, and we've produced some great singers, like on the national and international stage in Queensland, like
Definitely
really fantastic people. So yeah, I agree. We are really lucky. There's resources around, and to be honest, this is amazing. Like even since 2007, when I came back and had some lessons, the resources that are available now, the fact that I can get on my phone, that I can get a score in my key and play it, it's incredible. Like it is transformed in the last 13 years.
It's ridiculous. I remember my auntie Cleo, who was an opera singer, saying to me, "You're so lucky." This was back in the 90s. "You're so lucky you're able to tape record yourself." She wasn't able to do that when she was studying in London in the 40s.
I know.
We
really have amazing resources now. Like just what we're doing now, amazing resources. So go for it, I reckon. That's people should just have a go.
And would you say it's also the perfect time that we're all indoors? We can't go anywhere. What a great way to spend time with yourself. Develop a skill.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, I haven't really felt too confined with COVID at all. In fact, I keep thinking, if I got enough time to get to the next song that Mel's given me, I'm going to get going.
You're doing really bloody well.
Anyway.
All right. Well,
that's
thank you,
life.
Pam.
Pretty ordinary, but
this is beautiful.
There it is. And thanks, Mum. I've got a photo here, actually.
Oh, please show a photo of Mum.
I'll show you a photo of her.
What a time that she was in singing during the wartime in Brisbane. Oh, what a beautiful lady. Look at that face. Gorgeous.
Yeah, she was very special. Very, very special. So she's on the piano now.
Should we cheers, everybody?
Cheers, everybody.
Such a bogan with my tinny.
Happy singing, everyone.
Happy singing.